once again to Let's Talk Marriage. This is Pastor Larry coming to you this Wednesday afternoon with Let's Talk Marriage. All right. Everyone is doing well today. If you woke up this morning, you are doing well. Welcome to our program on today. We want to take this time out to uh, pray with the people that have been going through things. Let's keep them in your prayers. There's been a lot of things going on, in the world and around with our young people. There's certainly it's been a challenge these last few years. So we want to make sure that we keep our families in prayer. Make sure that we are sticking by our family. Just let them know you're there. You might not be able to do much for them, but you can be there for them. And make sure you're being there for your family members. And family members, please stick together, grow closer together during these trying times. There's a lot of things going on. I just did a couple funerals within the same month, I believe, and it's not easy, doing funerals. It's never easy to do a funeral. So we want to keep these families that are going through bereavement. We want to keep them in our prayers and make sure that you contact them when it's necessary. Contact them when it's possible. Don't go bothering them, right after something happened. Give them a few minutes, a few days, and you could even ask someone else, if they're taking calls, and if they're taking calls, make sure you contact them and, let them know that you're with them, you're praying for, you're going to be there for them. All right, so make sure we keep them in your prayers. Today's program, we're going to be talking about pretty much what I just mentioned with the family. We're going to be going over some things here as married couples. There's some things that we have to keep in mind. We have to keep the fire in our marriages, and I've always said that marriage is not hard. We make it hard. We make everything hard. Especially as Christians, we make everything hard, and life should not be as hard as we make it, and just like marriage should not be as hard as we make it. Some of the things that I've looked over is one of the main things in a marriage. You want to make sure that you're spending quality time with your spouse. Make sure you're taking some time out of your busy schedules. I know everybody's running here, doing this and doing that. Pick up a project or something that you're going to do with your wife. Matter of fact, my wife and I just finished a little small project that we were working on last night, and we were kind of late working on it. So we both are kind of tired, but it was fun. I enjoyed, working there with her, and just spending the time with each other. So make sure you spend time with your spouse. Let them know, especially what I mentioned earlier about people going through grief. Sometimes our family members, our spouses, they might go through grief from their side of the family. Make sure that you're standing by them and supporting them. It's very important that we support each other during these times. It's been so much going on in the last few years with our young people, with just the people in general. It's just these are the times that we really need to pray and support each other. Pray, support, and encourage each other, and listen to each other. We talk about listening a lot on the program because you can't stress listening enough, And maybe they were talking about it in Sunday school. A listener is a person that listens is a person that can understand, and a person that's understanding is usually a great listener. So we're going to go right ahead here. We talked about spending time. Here's another one I like this one. Pamper each other. Pampering each other does not always mean something materialistic. A lot of times we think when we're pampering our spouse, it's materialistic. No, it's not necessarily materialistic. Sometimes just a tap on the shoulder, a hug, something like that, or you run the bath water, or as a husband, you'll come in and clean the house for her, and give her a break, and have her put her feet up or something, and and that's which is one form of pampering your spouse. So make sure we are doing that, and make sure we pamper each other. Sometimes the husband might need a little encouragement, so make sure that you encourage each other. The wife might need encouragement. Make sure you encourage her. Again, with all the things that are going on within the families, make sure we are pampering each other and letting your spouse know that you're right there with them. Truly listening to each other is essential. We've talked about that several of the programs we mentioning about listening. It's real easy to talk, but it's sometimes it's hard to listen. And a matter of fact, that listening is when you don't say anything, because you can't listen if you're talking. Yeah, you see, a teacher used to tell me that. If you're talking, you're not listening. When you're in school, you're always talking to your neighbor or something while the teacher was teaching, and she would stop and say, "Are you listening? If you're talking to your neighbor, you're not listening." Yeah, I had a teacher like that. I'm pretty sure we all had one like that. Okay, moving right along. Share intimate details with each other. Just intimate details, and you might want to compliment her or something intimately. Have her blushing. Be able to. This is a number. This one I like here. Laugh together. If you and your spouse can just find something that you both are laughing at, and that just keeps the joy in the marriage. When you can laugh at each other, or you can laugh together, it's a wonderful thing. It's a wonderful feeling, and it relieves a lot of pressure. Uh, Laughter is so underrated. When you're able to laugh, you can relieve stress. You can relieve tension. All the things. When you're able to laugh, not just making someone. Because there's so many people that make people laugh, but they can't find the laughter within themselves. If you uh, have the laughter within yourself, you're less likely to go into depression, or less likely to suffer from worrying a lot. If you can find the laughter within each other, that's even more important. So make sure that you learn to laugh together, share humorous stories with each other, humorous memories. Something that happened between the both of you when you're on vacation, when you first met. Things like that. Here's another one. Have common interests. Opposites do attract, but there's always there was something that attracted you to that opposite person. They had something in common with you, so make sure you share those common interests. My wife and I, we have several common interests that we share with each other. And then we are two different people, but we do have a lot of things that we share together, and a lot of things that way you can have something to talk about. And we always have something to talk about. Play games together. My wife always out, you're playing again, aren't you? That's just keep the fire burning in marriage. Make sure you sit down, play games together, go for walks, and things like that to keep each other encouraged. These are the things that you want to make sure that you're doing in your marriage. Oh, here's another one: hugs and kisses. Make sure that you're hugging your wife, or giving them a kiss. It doesn't have to be when you're intimate. It's just a sign of affection. You might just touch them or rub the head or something. And just showing an affection toward your wife. Here's another one I hear. A sprinkle of PDA always helps. PDA, public demonstration of affection. So it's always good to have that PDA, where you're not in, because some people get embarrassed when the spouse, the husband and wife start showing affection in public. But there's nothing wrong with that. A public display of affection, there's nothing wrong with that. We've got a PDA, where you lean over, you might kiss your wife, or you might whisper in her ear, you might kiss her, you might hug her in public, and because when you don't show that, then you're less likely to walk around in a place holding hands. And it starts with holding hands. If you can practice holding hands, sometimes you don't always remember it. Like sometimes if my foot hurt, once I gotta walk all the way back to them because my feet hurt, she'll be walking a little ahead of me. But it's always good to practice holding hands with each other when you're in public. That's a form of PDA as well. Make sure you're holding hands, and standing at the counter. Sometimes like standing at the counter, I might whisper in my wife's ear or something sweet or something. All right. Set healthy boundaries. Now let's get into something more serious aspect of healthy relationships. Setting and maintaining healthy boundaries is pivotal aspect of what keeps couples together. When you set healthy boundaries, your partner respects those boundaries, and vice versa. It builds trust, respect, intimacy, and communication in the relationship. And then here's another one here also. Always resolve a fight before you go to bed. Remember, people used to say, don't let the sun go down on your argument. Or in other words, don't go to bed mad at each other. Because we're just talking about how things are just so many things happening. So you should never go to bed mad at your spouse because you had a fight with him and he slept in another room, he slept downstairs, and you never know what can happen. That could be the last time you saw him. So make sure that we are continually supporting each other. Make sure we're continually loving on each other, and make sure you constantly tell your spouse that you love them. And if you're not a person that say it a lot, show it. Give them a card or something. Send them a text or something. Send them a picture, affectionate picture or something in a text message or something. Or send them some flowers or something. If you're not a person that always say it. Some people don't. They don't say it all the time, but they show it all the time. And if you're a person that don't say it all the time, make sure you're showing it because when you're showing it, that it says even more because you're showing affection. Make sure we're supporting each other in these times of things that are going on, and make sure we continue to keep our young people in prayer. And they are just going so many different things. These people are just leaving here. Young people. We just want to keep them in prayer. We want to keep these. And I'm just so sick of hearing about people perishing from gunshots and gun violence. It's just so crazy. I mean, it's just really crazy. And I grew up during the 60s and 70s is when I grew up, and we had our times, we actually had a lot of gangs during that time, but it was still nothing like it is today because back then, if you were in a gang, you never did anything around the church, you never did anything to children or old people. You respected them, even though you're in a gang. You still respected older people back then. That's why you had so many of the older people. If you think about it, if you're anywhere from a city like Chicago, if you grew up when I grew up in the city of Chicago, there were a lot of older people that owned stores right in their basement of the building that they're own, and no one went in and bothered them. even though there were gangs and stuff in the neighborhood, they never bothered them. They would come in and buy things themselves. And they knew them. They would speak to them and they respected them. But nowadays it's just so crazy. There's so many different forms of things that like bullying. So many different forms of bullying. Back then, if you went home, you didn't hear anything else from bully. If they called you, you you didn't have call waiting. Most people didn't have phones in the neighborhood that much, so you didn't hear anything from until you got to school. And then usually that was resolved within a couple times or a couple talks, or they might even had a fight with somebody, but it was never no one went home and got a gun, or no one came to school with a gun. But it's just so crazy. So we want to make sure, as families, married couples, make sure that we are supporting our children, supporting our young people, and our churches need to make sure that we are supporting our young people as well. We are a major part of the growth in our young people, so we need to make sure that we stay in touch with them and don't get out of touch with our young people, because we seem to be losing touch with our young people, and they've been being lost to street violence, gang violence. So we want to make sure we keep them in prayer. Make sure we pray for our married couples, especially those that are just starting out. Make sure that we are praying for them. Make sure they have a area where they can come and talk to somebody. And again, those of you that are going through the grief, make sure you seek grief counseling. And I would never tell someone that lost someone, a child or something. I would never tell them that, oh, get past it, get over it. No, you're never going to get over it. You'll go through it. You're never going to forget that. You're never going to get past it. So I don't like when people tell folks, oh, you need to get past that. Just pray and you'll get it. No, that's not going to work. What we need to do is make sure that we support them and seek grief counseling. That way you can get through it. You're never going to get past it. You're never going to forget, those loved ones that you've lost. But you're going to get through it. So that's what we need to pray for them, that they'll get through it. Keep our married couples up in prayer. This is Pastor Larry. Until we meet again on Let's Talk Marriage.